That's an inherent value that will never go away from your home. Like if you can hold on to a big lot size, that's really, really, really important. Live again. Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's Matt and Brian just talking about all the best neighborhoods in fill in the blank.
Just joshing around in the studio, coming at you. Another episode of Undoubtedly Dallas. Today we're talking about the best neighborhoods in Plano, Texas.
Yeah.
Which, this is one of my favorites because Plano is like, it's funny how like Dallas used to just be like Dallas, Fort Worth, like everything was called Dallas. And like for the longest time, it's crazy how like even in like social media or pop culture, whatever, like Plano is like a real city that people like know about now, like nationwide. And like when I was a kid, it was like nothing. And now like it's one of the fastest growing cities in the country and one of the most well off, I guess you should say, as well. And people know about it everywhere.
It's pretty interesting because I was showing a client today and we showed a house not here far from our office, which is right on the border of Dallas and Plano. Okay. Like I could probably hit the border with a rock from our office, right? And he was like, "We're in far north Dallas, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a weird way we talk about Dallas." Yeah. I was like, "We're in North Dallas. That's Plano right there."
Like nobody's gonna get on to you for calling it North Dallas, but it's
not really Dallas, it's Plano, but Dallas is right there.
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't know anything about us, like our particular office and where we're at, we could literally hit Plano with a stone or a pitching wedge from here, but we're technically in Dallas. So, but we do a ton of business in Plano.
Absolutely.
So in that vein, what are your favorite neighborhoods in Plano?
You know, it's funny because there's a few that I've had an opportunity to sell in, but I think there's some that when we just talk about like some of the most fun neighborhoods to show clients houses in, there's quite a few because there's a ton of really nice golf courses.
Yeah, that's like
that
a
have
whole
homes
different
located.
Thing, like where you've actually sold a ton of houses and like where you like to just like show houses. I know. Really cool.
Willow Bend's the one that I think when I first started like learning about Plano and talking to people about Plano, and they have a huge price range in Willow Bend too. Sure. So larger lots. One thing I don't know that you might know, I don't know if there's a golf course next to Willow Bend in particular. I'm such a bad Dallasite. Like I'm the worst golfer in the world. Brian golfs all the time. I'm a trash golfer, so I avoid it like crazy. But you can play golf like 9 months out of the year here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's October now and it's like 70 degrees outside. Like we're just getting started with golf season here. Willow Bend, technically no. So the thing about Willow Bend, it is very, very close to a bunch of awesome golf courses. So we're going to get into some of these neighborhoods later, but it's kind of sandwiched right in between like where Glen Eagles is and then like the north side of Prestonwood. So if you live in Willow Bend, or if you're going to be living in Willow Bend, like Matt said before, the price range are anywhere from like $700 to like $5 million.
Yeah.
Like you're going to see a lot of $1 million houses, but you're going to see some stuff below that. It's really, really cool because you just, in most more suburban areas, you don't see that variation in price points, right? Everything's sort of homogenized in that regard. Like you see price points that vary, like maybe $300,000 or $400,000 in range. This is a huge range of price points. They don't have a golf course there, but they have pretty much every other amenity you could ask for, and the courses that are right there are Club Corp country clubs. So even if you were to live in those neighborhoods, you'd still have to join the country club. So you're not at a disadvantage by living in Willow Bend. You could still be a part of the country clubs right next door.
I think one of the things for people to understand too is it's a massive community or subdivision too. Yes. That's why the prices range so much. Like some estimates have it as much as 1,800 homes in there.
Sure.
So if from a development perspective, that's why you're getting that huge range in the prices of the homes and lot sizes. You've heard us say it in other videos. Lot sizes are such a premium here that once you start hitting half an acre and bigger, the price starts jumping all over the place depending on what you back up to, the shape of your lot, all that kind of stuff. So that's what you get in there a lot of.
It's kind of funny because we used to say if you want bigger lots, go further north. But now that we have so much new construction further north, like I think the lots are getting smaller in some areas. So like a place where you can buy in Plano, like a Willow Bend, where you have a really good lot size, like that's an inherent value that will never go away from your home. Like if you can hold on to a big lot size, that's really, really, really important.
Did you say too that there's another neighborhood in Plano, Normandy Estates, that's kind of luxury like that too? Did you used to farm that, or was that in Frisco, like a neighborhood? There's some Normandy neighborhood that I thought you used to farm, and I couldn't remember if it was in Frisco or Plano or what.
So I only farmed in Frisco, but Normandy Estates it's one, and we're going to talk about another one. I think that's one of my favorites later on. That's Avignon Windhaven.
Yeah.
I think it's just called Avignon. These are super, super cool neighborhoods because you get a lot of like Mediterranean or European style homes. Like it just looks totally different than a lot of, what in the biz we call Texas homes, right? Which is just like normal brick, normal, like whatever. And the focus is really more like on the interior. But the ones in Normandy Estates are so, I guess, elegant is the best way to put it. With the European style architecture, it's very, very, very cool. Normandy Estates you're going to probably start in the $1 million range. But man, if you're looking to spend that type of money, that's one of the best places to do it.
Tons of trails, fishing ponds, like all the stuff that you'd expect when you start getting up at that price point too.
Yep, they got the lake and the fountain and all that stuff. It's really, really, really cool. If we, Plano's got all sorts of price ranges, everything from the 200s all the way up to 30 million probably in some areas. Whiffletree is another neighborhood that I really, really love. 90s and early 2000s builds, you're looking like 300 to 600. It's just like a really, really good family neighborhood. Great school district. It's right in between Independence and Coit. Only about 500 homes in there, but it's just a really, really homey community.
Forest Creek and Deerfield are like that too, though, right? Like Deerfield is always awesome for me. If you guys want to do, if you're watching this video and it's anywhere near Christmas time, and hopefully do it this year, every year we go to Deerfield because they have the awesome like Christmas setup, and they have the dancing Santas who wear all the jerseys. They have like the local high school comes out and plays Christmas songs. It's one of those neighborhoods where like 15 blocks get into it, which I never understand those neighborhoods. Like,
I never understand
who goes around as like, hey, if you live here, you got to put up so many lights. It's crazy.
I don't know. How does it start?
I don't
you know
have
what I
any
mean?
idea.
Like, how is the first year where they're like, Christmas is going to be our jam forever? But they do it, man.
Everybody in Deerfield buys into it. And the cool thing is you get out and walk around. We always park on one of the side, like entry streets in the neighborhood where like nobody really cares about it. And then we walk our way in, and it's always awesome. Kid friendly. It's killer. I love that.
100%.
And like I said, really moderately priced too. You can get in Deerfield for under $600.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. You could probably get there, $450 to $600 and then up from there. But this next one is nuanced in the sense. So Prestonwood, if you live anywhere in the North Dallas or Plano area, you've heard the term Prestonwood. It is it's where we have a lot of master plan communities in the suburbs. This is more like kind of how like Los Angeles was a city of neighborhoods that grew together to make a big city. That's kind of like what Prestonwood is. So like there's Prestonwood, which is a development that stretches from Plano south into North Dallas. It has a country club, again like Glen Eagles. They're both owned by Club Corp, so they're sister clubs. Prestonwood's very cool though because it has a North Dallas Country Club, which is actually just that way south of our office, and it has a Plano Country Club or clubhouse, which is just north of our office. Has two amazing golf courses. And if you're a member at Prestonwood Country Club, you're a member of both clubhouses and all the amenities. It's like being a member of two different country clubs. But then you have the Prestonwood Hills community that the Hills Course and Clubhouse are on. That is going to be more of that's in Plano. That is going to be more of your newer. It's newer than the south side of Prestonwood that's in North Dallas. Newer, really nice, probably 500 and up. 500 is probably the minimum you get in there, but golf course living for a lot of people. It's a cool mix because they have little pockets in Prestonwood where there's like really cool like 3-bedroom but still 2-story homes that are kind of like really cool, almost like disconnected townhomes, like all the way to pretty big sprawling 5,000 and 6,000 square foot homes. But then you have neighborhoods that are like kind of intertwined, like Indian Creek runs through the Prestonwood golf course, and it wasn't originally part of the Prestonwood development, right? It's just like another one of those neighborhoods that as the build out happened, it sort of just got built around or whatever. So like Prestonwood Country Club are two of my favorite golf courses in all of DFW. If you are a golf fan, I think that the Prestonwood Dallas, what they call the Creeks course, is an incredibly tight, lot of challenging water features. The hills is a little bit more open, but it's longer. It's a longer, like kind of just like overpower you course. But then you have Indian Creek that you can live on the golf course, but not be in Prestonwood. And I don't know what that does as far as pricing. I think to be in Indian Creek, you got to be at least 550, 600, and then goes up to, way, way, way higher than that. But it's just kind of cool as far as like maybe the history of the community goes, that you sort of have these cool neighborhoods that are all intermingled together, and you still get a lot of those cool features. And being on the golf course, especially any one of those golf courses, those two, is like phenomenal.
Yeah, see, and that's the part of Dallas and Plano and like this whole suburban sprawl that we have that I never get to experience. There are so many houses that, unless you're on the golf course and you're kind of looking at the house from the low level of the golf course and looking up, you don't realize how amazing some of these golf course houses are. And look, keep in mind, we had an agent on our team come and talk to us about this just recently, about how to price a home with one on the golf course and one not on the golf course. The homes on the golf course are absolutely more valuable than the exact same house one block further in. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Yep.
Maybe buy a window or two every once in a while. But.
Yeah, get the I don't know, double pay, whatever it is.
We'll negotiate the home warranty in for you. For the first year, see if we can
right. I mean, these are private golf clubs too that we just happen to be talking about in this particular video, and they're phenomenally nice. Speaking of which, go right down, I guess, the street a little bit east, and you're going to run right into Glen Eagles.
Yeah.
Glen Eagles is kind of historic country club Plano living, right? It's kind of like the original, like the OG Plano Country Club. They have the clubhouse. It's like, what is it about older country clubs that like you pay a fortune and they preserve maybe the history of the place, where they like, what I mean by preserving the history is like they never renovated.
They never updated it all. No, I know.
Like the course is phenomenal.
Sure.
Like, they spend all their money keeping the course so unbelievably manicured that if you are a golfer, you're like, wow, it's incredible. But then they kind of have this historical vibe to the clubhouse where it's like, it still seems a little bit trapped in the 80s, early 90s or whatever. I know the club's way older than that, but Glen Eagles, the neighborhood, is not like that. They have some of the nicest homes in Plano. It's going to cost you probably at least 6 or 7 to get in there, and goes way up into the several million. But they are, as far as location goes, primo location, easy access to pretty much everything. Tollway, Preston, you're close enough to Dallas that makes sense. One of the nicest golf courses in the area, and an HOA that has given people a lot of latitude to do a lot of cool things with their homes. Like, it's not all cookie cutter. It's pretty upscale. You're going to see a good mix of like Spanish style and Mediterranean style. You're going to see some older European style. Like, you're going to see a good mix in Glen Eagles.
And I think it's important to note too, a lot of these houses we're talking about, Plano, most of these build outs that you're going to, not that there's not 70s and 80s construction in Plano, but most of this stuff is mid to early 90s.
Yeah.
And then up into the early 2000s, right?
Yep.
There's still some new communities. I'll be very honest with you. I don't know the last time I saw a new construction community in Plano. I just don't think there's a lot of it. I think some of the most recent stuff, some of the newest stuff I've seen in Plano is like Kings Ridge has some early 2000s to 2012
like
stuff.
Shoal Creek, maybe.
Shoal Creek has some newer stuff. Yeah. But it's also important to note that both of those communities fall into the Louisville ISD part of Plano, which is different, right? Because Plano feeds into Plano ISD, which is when you're looking up schools and stuff like that. The reason most of the people like to live in Plano and some of these suburbs because the schools are great.
Same thing with Frisco. There's part of it that's in Louisville.
You're going to see that, right? And so some of these newer communities, this newer stuff being built is probably going to be on that side of Plano, feeding to Louisville ISD. That's neither here nor there. It's just be aware that if you're coming from a community where the city's name is the ISD, it don't work that way around here.
Yeah, it does. You can, exactly. There's some weird bordering where you can bleed into other school districts. Yeah, I think brand like newer the most place that I've seen the most new construction that I think they finally finished it just about a year ago is Avignon.
Okay.
So Avignon Windhaven is right off of where Spring Creek and Windhaven kind of come together and then split. There's Avignon, which is a smaller community. I want to say it's less than 100 homes, but they're big. I think it's like a minimum of like 4,000 square feet for every home. Again, super cool, like Mediterranean and then mix of like European type style home, like not what you would consider Texas home. A lot of stucco, a lot of Spanish roofs, all that type of stuff, and custom home builders only in there, which is really cool. You get like, again, this is where, since it's newer, this is where your lots are going to be a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
If you want a big lot in Plano, you're going to have to buy somewhere that's already been established for a while, because they're just not building on big lots in Plano anymore. But Avignon is super, super, super nice.
Anywhere on the Dallas side of the metroplex, if you're staying inside this established bubble and you want something that's more than a half an acre, just understand there's going to be so much value in the lot.
Yeah.
But that's one of the amazing things about Plano. It's super centrally located to everything. You can get on 75 and go north or south really easily.
Yep.
You can get on the tollway and go north or south really easily.
Yep.
You've got a ton of development like over by where you live, right?
Yeah.
Like all up and down the tollway. There's so much stuff going on in Plano. So you're still going to get the amazing restaurant vibe. You can go out to dine whenever you want. You can do the golf thing. The community's amazing. The schools are good.
Yep.
You're just a little bit north of Dallas. But make no mistake, that doesn't mean there's no traffic, right? If you guys want to understand what Brian and I think about some of the pros and cons of living in North Texas, there are some cons, and traffic is one of them. You're still going to, when you hop on the tollways and stuff, you're still going to run into that. But the location of Plano is what makes it so desirable for people.
And like we were saying before, it is not a suburb anymore. It's a full-fledged city of its own.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought when I was growing up that I would be able to live in Plano like I do now, and I walk a lot of places.
Yep.
Like, when I'm going out to eat, I went to Fogo de Chão, the Brazilian steakhouse today. I just walked from my house, right? Like, it's becoming a much more dense, not just dense, but there's becoming so many more things to do. So many more places are being headquartered here. So many companies are moving here, and they are building out the infrastructure around that idea. And it's just becoming easier and easier to kind of commute, to kind of find anything you're looking for. It's getting easier and easier to find it in Plano.
Yep, it's a really great community. Like I said, it's a kind of a buffer between Dallas and the further north communities that we get into in some other videos. Yep. But I have plenty of clients who live there. They love living there. My mom lives there. It's an awesome community, man.
Sure, 100%. Well, if Plano is on your radar, reach out to us. We know it like the back of our hand.
Yeah.
We appreciate you hanging with us for another episode on Undoubtedly Dallas here. And we will catch y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.